Dropped it. Oh, they're both 71. Cool. So this is a backswing blow that's also a launcher, and this is a safe launcher out of stance. Where in that same stance, I have that move as well, right? So if they see this and they think about sidestepping, and they get hit by that, it's like +5 on block. Yeah, it's +5 on block. So Leo's big plus frame buttons, or main plus frame buttons on block are... It's something that I like for people to think about. Whenever you're learning a new character in Tekken, if you can find your plus frame buttons, that's a huge advantage, right? Like, everyone's jab is plus. Oops. Let me do this right. Let me show you guys what I mean. So everyone's jab is plus, right? So you're gonna be pressing jab. Oh. You're pressing jab a lot. That's not jab. Hello. Thank you. Pressing jab a lot. Because it's your fastest normal. So +1 on the block, which means it's your turn after. And it like stifles a lot of offense from the opponent, right? It makes them have to slow down their offense, because if not, they're going to get hit by jab. That doesn't feel good. So what I always like to do whenever I'm teaching someone Tekken is tell them, do you know your plus frame buttons? And they're like, what? I'm like, buttons that are plus on block. Like when your opponent hits it, it's still your turn. Find some. Right? So I don't know how many more Leo has, right? Leo might have a few more, but the ones that I think of when I'm learning Leo, and I think everyone should learn this when they're trying to learn a Tekken character, is find your plus frame buttons. I know mine as jab, forward 4, back 1-4, if they don't step it, stance 3, and down 2. Those are the only buttons I'm thinking of, right? In neutral, I want to do those moves and then find moves that complement them, right? So what complements a jab is a lot of people want to duck that. So if a lot of people want to duck that, you want to start using mids, right? So if you're balls to the walls and you think they're going to duck and you're going to get them, boom, a hop kick. They're going to go for a low to beat your highs over and over because that's all you're doing, boom, the hop kick will work. If you're looking for something less committal, down forward 1. Look at that. And down forward 1 happens to only be -1 on block, right? Finding small lows to complement your like smaller plus frame offense is pretty good. Another thing I like to mix in is safe launchers, right? This launcher is only -9. It comes out of this stance. So in this stance, because they're already thinking of this move and they know this launcher is safe, maybe what they're going to start doing is trying to step it. Now they got to hold this plus frames. That also chips. Right? Pretty good for me. Yay. And then the last thing is just another safe launcher because it's a backswing blow. So that's like the basic building blocks of any character, right? And you can like get super advanced or super basic off of it, right? So I'm saying like you're doing this a lot, right? And then they duck, boom, you hit them with this. And now you're like, oh, what's my combo? There you go, there's your combo. It's not great, it's not amazing, right? But eventually maybe you'll start doing this. Add a little more damage in, right? And you're like, okay, well, my backswing blow combo actually exactly the same because, you know, Leo. Love that. Right? Having a wave dash pretty cool, but not every character does, right? Complementing your like quick highs and mids with like strong lows. Most lows are going to be minus on hit, punishable on block, minus on hit. But I mean, it's mostly about creating situations where your opponent is scared to just stand there and not defend their feet. Right? Leo happens to have a hell sweep, so this is a knockdown move. 29 damage. If they block it, it's a launch punish, but you're mostly mixing it in with these things, right? I do a mid again. They're like, oh, I gotta stand. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm gonna hit you in the fucking toes. Enjoy being knocked down at the mercy of my offense. That's just like the easiest thing to think about for every character, right? I was learning Raven, and that was the first thing I found was his plus frame buttons and what strings like led into his stance in situations where people would be less willing to want to press buttons versus him, right? And it's not because those things are inherently cheap; they're just solemn. They're like fundamentally solid, right? They're not like overpowered or ridiculous or broken in any way because every character has some amount of plus frames and some amount of like positive or neutral on hit or neutral on block interactions in their game fun. That's just how most characters in fighting games work. If they had no if all the situations in their kit left them minus on block or minus on hit all the time, they would never be able to create advantage state. What you're looking for is a way to flow your advantage state on block so that on block you happen to be already doing enough to your opponent to pressure them without them having to make a mistake of letting go of block in the wrong direction, right? So just mixing in a small, like, down forward one, a low in every now and then. If your character has a hell sweep, cool. Don't rely on it too much because that's one of the things that'll really get you blown up. A fast launcher if you have one of those. Oops, I did a Tekken 7 combo. Oops. There we go. I did Tekken 7 combo. In Tekken 7, that was the corkscrew. Not just wall splats. Funnily enough. Oh yeah, that's also a plus for a move, I guess. But I mean, it's only because it's technically the same animation as forward 4, so it's not something I think about, right? I think about this, think about this, think about this, and I think about this. Those are the moves I'm worried about. And I like to think that that's good enough for me to create some sort of an offensive flow, and then defense will come later, right? Learning when to duck for the highs, learning how to step, right? How to block, which direction, low pairing, yada yada. Very basics of offense in Tekken. Just understanding your own plus frames. It's important. I know people just think like, oh yeah, low level Tekken, you just mash around a lot, but if you notice, some people excel even at low level Tekken. Because they're doing more than just mashing around without telling you. They're doing a whole lot more than mashing around. Like, it looks like they're just mashing around, but you're like, dang, this guy's like mashing, but like it seems like it's always his turn. Gee, I wonder why. Gee, I wonder why. That's why.